On January 23, 1958, Venezuelan President Marcos Pérez Jiménez fled Venezuela to the Dominican Republic and a military junta took control of the country. The presidency of Pérez Jiménez was a dictatorship that relied heavily on oil revenues to pay for an urbanization and modernization campaign in the cities of Venezuela, and the United States had supported the government of Venezuela because it was a reliable oil source. Following Pérez Jiménez's ousting and flight, the three major parties in the country, COPEI, AD, and the URD, came together to ensure a lasting democracy in Venezuela, a country that had been under military rule for most of its history since independence in 1830. The parties were aware that if one of them disputed the results of the upcoming election, it would only harm the country given the economic instability that resulted from the declining oil prices and post-coup climate. The pact was a way for the parties to ensure cooperation and compliance with election results, allowing for a smooth transition to democracy. The pact was signed in, and named after, the residence of COPEI leader Rafael Caldera in Caracas, by representatives of their URD, COPEI, and AD. The adherents claimed the pact was aimed at preserving Venezuelan democracy by respecting elections, and by having the winners of the elections consider including members of the signing parties and others in positions of power in bids for national unity governments, and by having a basic shared program of government. 3 members of each party signed the pact. These men included Romulo Betancourt of AD, Rafael Caldera of COPEI, and Jovita Villalba of the URD. Both Betancourt and Caldera would go on to become presidents of Venezuela. The pact served to deepen democracy in the region, as it ensured the respect of the democratic process of the election. This allowed for the uncontested democratic election of Romulo Betancourt. In 1962, URD refused to sign the Costa Rica Agreement, which excluded Cuba from the Inter-American system. The decision was accompanied by the immediate withdrawal of the tripartite coalition in Betancourt's government. COPEI and AD became reliant on the shared oil revenues to secure power over Venezuelan politics through a system of patronage and clientelism, and the bipartisanship began to deteriorate in the 1980s as oil revenues took a sharp decline. This led to increasing public distrust of the legitimacy of the AD and COPEI, and what began as a democratic era began to deteriorate. More formal opposition emerged in the late 1980s. One of the first indicators of public unrest was on the Caucaso on February 27, 1989, where there were riots because of an increase in the prices of public transportation and gas. In the 1993 presidential elections, the former leader of COPEI, Rafael Caldera, was elected president under a different party, Convergencia. Presidential candidate Hugo Chavez ran on the platform of attacking the AD and COPEI bipartisanship in his 1998 election campaign, promising to break the traditional on